Wally, let's go ahead and start with you. Can you take us back to how the Community Economic Analysis Project began and why it was needed at that time?
Sure, and thank you again for having us here. It certainly is a pleasure to share our story, but share our people even more. And a vision of hope and opportunity that lives in a small community just by looking at one another and saying that nobody's out there ready to or wanting to come to help. You have to do it yourself. So, I mean, I think it really started from that belief and vision that we have to be the ones to do the work. But we need to reach out to individuals to help us put things together to know that we're heading in the right direction. So we really had a team that started, even I came back to Gilman in 2017, but there was a lot of things that were happening before I even showed up that allowed this to happen, and it was a matter of saying we have all these civic organizations that are trying to do great things, but nothing was put together to have a unified front in the development of our community. And so we really looked at doing things around building the climate and culture, around how leaders can work together, focusing on our talents and strengths, saying who does the best in this area, and then really looking at it from, following our passion. Our passion is to stay a small community, but be thriving. And so I think that set the stage for us to come in and say, all right, well, let's look at the CEA, Community Economic Analysis, to give us a better understanding of what the real story is in town. Because people would look at our school district and say, well, you used to have almost 400 students, and now you only have under 300 students. You must be, a dying community. And we're saying, well, no, we're a thriving community, even though population choices have changed. Because in the CEA process, we were able to find out that our demographics really haven't changed as much as its appearance in the school, with a growing Amish population, a growing population of school choice individuals, but they're our family and our friends. So we want to bring them all together and make something happen.
And as that process unfolded, what were the goals that emerged?
Yeah, I think that we had a lot of ideas. In fact, there was one idea that, we're, as many small communities, ambulance service was something that is on the decline and not accessible. And so we even threw things out or onto the table about, well, what are everybody's ideas, and then what are the ones that we can collectively get behind. And so it came down to, we want to create a vibrant Main Street. We're a vibrant community because a vibrant school needs a vibrant community, and a vibrant community needs a vibrant school. And then we knew that with our organizations that it was getting more challenging to have individuals volunteer and engage in our community. So then we looked at, all right, so then the next goal is that we're going to increase volunteerism and engagement. And then the third one is to embrace the quality of life possible in a rural community. And that really, I think right there, really excited people, because they knew we weren't trying to come in and change Gilman into something that it doesn't want to be. And so those three things really helped us get through even challenging times, because anytime we'd have a challenge, we'd come back to that.
Yeah. And that community and collaboration, Candice, they seem to be key themes that are coming through. So how did you, or from your perspective as a village clerk, what changed when everybody came together to work on the plan?
I think that when the students got involved, it was like this energy, this excitement, vibrant talks. They were heard. They were brought in. We heard them. It got exciting. I think when the businesses got a chance to say what was working well or what wasn't, we heard them. We posted. I think being transparent, we tried to be communicating with everyone involved, senior citizens. I just think that we really wanted everybody to have a voice and a say, whether it's positive or negative. We had to hear it all.
Yeah. Addy and Mylie, you were two of the voices that contributed to the project. What was it like to be co-designers of the community's future?
It felt good to be heard and understood. We brought up how we wish that Vault Village would be open later, so kids in sports could go after sports or if it would open earlier certain days. And then they heard us out on that, and now they're open early on Fridays.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that, or places that weren't open, like that worked for the students and stuff. So it was cool to tell everyone what we wanted. And
Yeah.
it was interesting to hear from all ages, like you said. And it was a little bit nervous, and I don't know, it was really cool.
Yeah. So what was that like? Did you get together with different generations of folks in the community and talk to them? Can you tell me what that was a little bit like, your experience with that?
We brought in like the whole community after school one day, and we like got in groups and we like talked about like what really needs to be focused on. Like I was a part of what was it, child care, I think, and we talked about like after school care. And what were you a part?
I was part of the volunteer group, and then there was a group for the trail, and what was
There was another group talking about the vibrant community, and then we had a group of leaders that got together too to kind of chat about the bigger ideas, and we kind of focused in on the smaller things.
And my group was almost all older people, so I was like the only young person there, and it was really like, I don't know, they were intimidating, I'd say, but they heard me out, so that was really good. And they were really nice, and we had a good conversation about young people and old people, and we kind of came together, and I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, it is really awesome. I love this idea of coming together. Wally, can you talk a little bit about the school's role in bringing people together?
Yeah, so I think that, you know, in a small community and even in other larger communities, the school district is oftentimes the center of engagement and activities. And we felt like when we were seeing what was happening, that we really needed to get on board with our community. And I've been a superintendent for 18 years, and I've been in strategic planning processes several times, and it's always been invite the community to the school to tell us what you would like your school to be. And we kind of flipped that and said, let's go to the community and say, we're in this together. We like I said, I can't recruit staff and families into our community if we have a bunch of closed buildings on our main street. So it's important for us to be active contributors to seeing the growth of our main street so that we have a vibrant school. And so we said, we're an equal partner in the strategic planning of our community and beyond. And so like with the community economic analysis process, you had to be a community of 2,000 people. Well, we have under 400 people in this village of Gilman, where the school is, but our broader community of a school district is greater than that 2,000. So we were able to utilize everyone within that geographical boundary and say, we're in this together, and our sustainability is dependent on what happens in the village of Gilman.
Well, and I just want to add to that, Wally brought a team together for that. Different people in our community that stepped up, a Taylor County representative who is part of the school board, who's on our development foundation, the president. So there was this core group that worked together with the CEA, and then the design charrette was the next step, and I just feel like we really got rejuvenated. I know personally, because like we filed for the Idle Site Grant, and we got the Vibrant Space, and we were a Connect community, and partnered with the city of Medford and got the Small Business Grant. And so I think it really got people wanting to do more for our community.
Candice, I appreciate you sharing some of the different resources and ways that you were able to bring this to life. We did get a question from the audience I'd like to bring up. If other communities wanted to do a community economic analysis, how would they start? Did Gilman work with any organizations to conduct the CEA, and how do they do the work?
The Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. So, I mean, honestly, that's what it was. It was there was a call out for communities that were interested in being a part of this process. So it's a matter of looking at your local stakeholders and your core team. So we have 9 individuals in our core team, And then saying we can't do everything, and we do need the resources and the expertise from outside to provide us the data and the analysis so that when we do make our local decisions, we have something that supports it. So I would say being willing to look at your internal leaders, but then also looking for those that you can reach out to that can actually provide those support services allowed that to happen.
I just want to give a shout out to Dave Wiersba, because he's always been super supportive of Gilman, and also UW Extension, who has helped us with a lot of this. So it's been there's lots of people that are involved besides just us.
One would say it takes a village.
And a state.
And the city. Miia, so as teacher and advisor to the students, what did you see happening among them as they became part of the civic process?
Well, at first, so as the art teacher, I was asked to collect information from students, elementary, middle school, and high school, and kind of give them, the sky's the limit, what would you want to see in Gilman? So in the slideshow, there's some pictures that you'll see of that the little kids drew. Water parks, Cabela, Shields, Crumble Cookie, all of these really, really big things. And they're like, Mrs. Vick, none of this is gonna happen. And I think at first, like, it was hard to see that little kids actually, even the middle school, high school kids thought that these things weren't gonna happen. And I think that when the students got involved, it really gave them, well, number one, a voice, but then it also allowed them to say, hey, yeah, Crumble Cookie and McDonald's and all of this stuff would be awesome, but that's not Gilman. Like, we are a small town, we are a family, we work together, and we want to keep that vibe. And I think the fact that the students, like, after seeing all of this information collected, really thought, hey, this isn't us. And then the fact that they shared that information with the community, it brought a different feeling, a different vibe. And I think that's when the adults were like, hey, these kids aren't just here to make these big, huge changes. They're here to make these big changes, but to keep what we have here. I mean, we want Gilman to thrive. We want Gilman to change, but we don't want Gilman to change into something that's beyond what we want, or that vibe, the family vibe, small town.
And how have you seen has this been sort of like a one thing, you did the community economic analysis and then it's done, or has it created momentum with regard to other projects in the...
It's created momentum. So one of the other things that we had talked about was the trail. So the students really wanted a trail that would go around we picked the area of the softball field, baseball fields, but the students wanted an area where we could snowshoe for Phi-Ed and those types of things, or as a parent, when you're waiting for your students, we drive. I mean, I have a 20-minute drive. We have a very large district, so a lot of parents sit and wait for their students or their kids to get done with practice. Like, what can parents do? So the trail was one of the things the students really liked, and it's done. We finished it. It's a project that's totally completed, and the students know that, hey, this is something we wanted, this is something that we completed. Now what? What's next? So we're kind of working on volunteerism. So what can we do? So for example, we are putting up Christmas lights next week, Thursday, I believe. And then our student council is going to be helping with gift wrapping in December for our community Christmas Lights Festival, which is just renamed, but I think that the kids are starting to see what they can do in the community to continue to drive this forward.
I'd like to add to that too. With that, last year when we had our design, one of it was housing too, and we ended up creating a TID and getting a developer to come in and applied for the Idle Site Grant. It was for our old nursing home that had been sitting empty and was made into 17 apartments. It opened the middle of April and they're full. And so our developer was excited about it, and we're talking about the next step, so.
And I think the fact that the core team of 9 individuals gets together on a frequent basis to make sure that we're looking at the next thing. So kind of like what Miia said is that we get one project done and then okay, what's the next project? And it was pretty amazing when we put together our kind of our photo evidence of what's happened over the last year. And it's just amazing how things have transformed in just a short period of time, because you just look at it as, if I take a step every day, even if it's just a 1% or 5% step, I'm that much closer to my goal. And it's just keeping that momentum going in incremental steps that is attainable and achievable with the people that you have. So we haven't taken on those projects that require us to make sure that we have outside venture capital or we have this big organization coming in. It's what can we do, and hopefully once we get to that maybe capacity point where people see that there is a large movement, then others would be willing to come in and help support that or invest in our community. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. We went from CEA to the Design Charrette through UW Extension. What that did is it allowed us to identify our vision, mission, and the data behind it. The Design Charrette allowed us to have a community conversation and gather even more stakeholder input. And then it created ideas. And now what we're looking at is, so now we have all these ideas, what's actually realistic to do? So like, for example, we have a cheese factory that's right on our riverfront. Beautiful, beautiful location. It should be residential. It should be park. But, you know, you talk about how did Gilman start? It's a railroad. It's an agriculture town. A cheese factory needs a lot of water and a way to dispose of waste, so they use the river as a prime location. It's not considered a prime location anymore. How do we have a plan to move our cheese factory into the industrial park and now open that up to a 22-unit multi-dwelling housing unit? And so that sounds like a great idea, but that takes a lot of conversation to get to that point. So we're saying, now we got to go and say, what's a realistic, comprehensive plan to say these ideas were kind of high hopes? Because another thing that I like to share with our local community is, if you stop and think about when you want to dream about something, it doesn't take any more effort to dream big as it does dream small. You are using the exact same amount of mental capacity to think about your dreams. So dream big. And that's what's actually opened up the doors in Gilman. Because we did dream big. Kids wanted a Shields. They want a water park, you know. But what can we do now? And not forgetting what those big dreams are. Because maybe they will be.
So I think one of the lessons I'm hearing that is sometimes you just need to start, and starting small and making those incremental moves forward can result in big things. One of the questions from the audience were, who were the curmudgeons in the community? And how did you change their minds? And this is for anyone who'd like to answer.
I don't know that we really changed their minds, but I think that allowing them to have a voice. So when we did this, the one whole day of the charrette was a meeting with the senior citizens, a meeting with the students, a meeting with the business, talking about the history, and then that night having a tailgate event before our football game. And so they were allowed to come in and speak of any concerns they had, things they wanted to see. So I think, again, communication. We were allowing them to have a voice as well, and some of them didn't change their minds, and some of them were very thankful to be heard.
Yeah. So with that open lines of communication and involving people, how did you share out the findings of the CEA with the community, and was there discussion around that?
So I think it started at the design event, where it was a 2-day event. On Friday, we had the meetings. Friday evening into Saturday morning, the team from UW Extension went to work to put ideas to paper. And then they presented it that night. And so people were able to give direct feedback immediately. And again, we're a community of less than 400. We had about 120 people that showed up for a tailgate, because that is one thing that we do celebrate a lot. We play good football, even though we're a small school. So connecting to that cultural identity and saying, let's have a tailgate and come and join. We'll give you a free Broughton burger, and tell us what you would like to see in Gilman. That brought 120 people in to contribute to that conversation that would not have contributed had we put the meeting during the workday. Then we went and invited them back for Saturday night. They came in at 7 o'clock. We thought, there's no way, we're going to get like 10 people to show up. We had about 60 people come back on Saturday night to hear what did they do, because they're like, you said you're going to listen, let's see if you actually did it. And so the fact that we had a process that said we collected all the information from those stakeholders and then we demonstrated that we're going to put that in the plan really, I think, helped support the whole entire process. We then had them come back about 6 weeks later to do a final summary presentation. And that's when we started saying, okay, so let's put some actions to this. And that's the one where Addy and had indicated that she was with individuals talking about, volunteerism. We had a comprehensive plan group, and then we also had what can we do to support our individuals that actually own that property down on Main Street. So now that process of just continuation of revisiting will go into, what are we going to do during Cheese Days? What are we going to do at the Christmas Light Festival to be able to provide some feedback back to individuals? And, our presentations are to be used on a regular basis to tell that story.
Thank you. So another question from the audience, and this is for the students. What are your plans to stay involved in the community development or revitalization process?
Well, I would, sorry. Just getting out there and talking to a ton of people, like in the community. When you're out and about in the community and you're just like people know your name and people see you at sports events, and it's just fun to talk to them and hear from them, and it's cool that they continue to talk to us and they don't actually kind of what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And so, Addy, what are you thinking?
I feel like when the volunteering stuff shows up more, then I'll be involved in more volunteering because it'll be good for college, and I feel like that's how I'll stay in it.
Yeah. For the adults in the room here, do you have plans to maintain student and youth involvement in these efforts moving forward?
Yes, I would think that we are going to continue to let the students have a voice. I know for our Lions Club, they actually have a student ambassador, or even if more people apply, they have that. So our organizations want to bring the students in to be heard, which I don't know that was that way before, and I think they're starting to open up and see we have to let the kids in and hear them and change with it.
So I would say the other thing, too, about keeping the students engaged is, we had a lot of challenges through this process, and we could have had a number of different things that could have kind of just stopped our momentum. And we had to just persevere through that and go back to what we were focused on. Vibrant Main Street, volunteerism engagement, and then embracing the quality of life that we want. But I do believe that having the students involved in that conversation as well, it's hard for somebody to have a very negative opinion and speak that out when there's kids in the room. And so by keeping the students involved, it just kind of made everybody think twice and realize that maybe that's, my concerns are going to be addressed, but we're going to stay focused on those 3 goals.
Yeah, I find that interesting in that it's thinking about future generations, and when future generations are in the room at the table having the conversation, which is what we've heard throughout today through Chairman Hill and through our Next Generation panel, having you there really makes people stop and think. So for a small community, how did you handle the presumably limited capacity of local government in carrying out the work plan?
I think with ours, we were very much, my board anyway, I felt like was very involved with wanting to move Gilman forward because that was the focus. So anything that I was bringing back, they pretty much just did. So if we, the small business grant, even like that in this next step, when I wanted to do it and we reached out to the city of Medford and the chamber and we were talking about it, they just said, yes, go ahead. Anything that's gonna keep Gilman on the map and moving forward and growing, but still keeping what everybody wants, I think is the key.
Do you feel like Gilman is unique in this situation as a smaller rural community?
I think Wally really created this great idea of the village, the school district as a whole, and bringing everybody together. I think anybody can do it. I just think it wasn't thought about that way. You know, when you did it, it was just, you know, it wasn't a combination, and I think this would not have worked if we had it teamed together.
Yeah.
You know, and I always think about it that, you know, when you're in your, you know, always having that work-life balance, but also understanding that sometimes we work to be able to, you know, follow our passions. You know, our passion doesn't always come out in our work, and that's the kind of the framework that we've used in our school district is that you don't have to be a passionate, like you live to be a teacher. You might live to be an artist, you might live to be in the outdoors, which if you're going to be in Gilman or northern Wisconsin, you have to love the outdoors. And so if that's your passion, then let it come out in the work that you do. And so, you know, my personal mission is to spark passion in others to reach their goals and learning in life. And I do that through service to one another, beyond just the school district. And so I think that, you know, I feel like I'm tapping myself on the back, but I think it's important to know what it takes in order to be able to do this. It has to be a willingness to serve others and look for the betterment of beyond what your own stakeholders, the school district, and making sure that it stays open possible. So I do think that if there's anything that you would say, what does it really take? Because there's a lot of great people out there in a lot of small communities. It's a matter of taking the time to consider how you are a player in a bigger picture. And how do you help that big picture become reality?
And I think when we reported back to the community, we also opened up the door to allow people to say, hey, my passion is art, or I have the talent for building, and it allowed the community to put, I guess, their talents and their strengths out and to use those for the plans and the goals that we have for the future, so we know who to call. Like they said, here's my number, call me if we're doing this. I can help you with this. So I think the ability to share that and then allow those people to be a resource are also really good things that we had happen at the end of this too.
Yeah, when you say what's some of the next things that we're going to do, that's, you know, that really hits on it is that everybody struggles with trying to get people engaged and volunteer in the communities. And sometimes it's just because people just have different, you know, schedules in their life. And we say you have to do it at 4 p.m. at this day. And so our next generation of volunteerism, we believe, is in flexible volunteering. So we want to create a database within our community of individuals that can do things, and what are the things that can happen in a asynchronous environment and doesn't require us to be there at 4 p.m. on Tuesday, you know, and still get the work done. And I think that that's something for other communities to think about, is how do you create flexible volunteerism?
Yeah. Do you find that this initiative, Design Gilman, do you feel like it is scalable to is it scalable for other communities?
Absolutely, and I think that the one thing is that we didn't create Design Gilman. I mean, we called it Design Gilman, but it's the Design charrette through UW-Madison's Extension Office. They're a wonderful team. They brought in landscape designers. They brought architectural engineers in that are all willing to volunteer and donate their time. We had individuals that make tens of thousands of dollars doing this as consulting, but was willing to donate, you know, 36 hours of their month to help a community out. So, you know, yes, it's scalable. UW Extension has done this in Waupun. They've done it up in Grantsburg. I think it was Egg Harbor was another one that they did. So there are other opportunities that have been created. I think that what made ours unique is that all of those other ones started from a village, a city, a community, where this one started from a school and looking at how do we open our doors to a new concept of collaboration within a community.
Thanks, Wally. I'm supposed to ask you about the Gilman Pirates motto.
Okay.
Does anybody know that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, you can be anything you want to be any day of the week, and you certainly can be anything you want to be in life. But if you can be a pirate, always be a pirate.
That's fun. So back to Mylie and Addy. So what opportunities do you see for yourself? Do you see a future for yourself in Gilman?
I think I'll definitely come back to it. I'm planning on going to Green Bay for schooling, but I definitely won't leave Gilman. Like, I will be coming back
Yeah.
and trying to stay in the community and help out as much as I can.
I want to really
Yeah.
bad. I don't want to see it go anywhere else. Like, I live in Jump River, and that's 20 minutes away from Gilman, and that used to be a booming town. And on the way to Gilman, there's another town, it's called Hannibal, and that also used to be a booming town. And just seeing those towns, it's like you just go through them and you don't even like look in them or see, but there's like a lot in Gilman to offer. So I really hope that it can improve.
And like going to Gilman, like you think like, oh, we only have 200 people in our town, like it's not that big. But then like hearing all these people like, oh, Gilman did this and Gilman did that. Like I really want to go and see what Gilman has because it sounds really cool. Like that's just neat to be a part of all of that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really cool.
And we have a strong tradition of entrepreneurs in our community. We have one individual right now, Hay Creek Kennels, that started out with their passion of hunting and was training dogs. And this individual is someone that's known across the nation for training hunting dogs. And he ended up getting connected with Auburn University because of a hunting trip. And they said, what you do with dogs is amazing. We have this project we'd like you to consider. And now he doesn't train dogs for hunting anymore. He trains dogs in what's called vapor wake. And that is a training that the dogs go through to be working with the CIA and NTSB. And they're looking at gunmetal, bomb materials. And these dogs are just amazing. And so we have that going on. We have individuals that have started many businesses. In fact, one of the things that's exciting, part of this process has also allowed us to take a graduate from last year, and he was the one that has started his own business, own management, and he is the one that actually built the trail, both on the village property and the school's property. And that led to him getting awarded a contract for snow removal for the school district. And we're really looking at how do we create next generation economic opportunities for our graduates, because we believe that as a community we can create opportunities as long as individuals are willing to embrace our quality of life, look at ways that they can be economically viable in whether it's service or construction management type positions.
Yeah, giving back, culturing a mindset of growth and community. Talking about creating connections, we have another question. How did you build trust between the district and the village?
Well, I think me and Wally have known each other for years, so I think there was always an open communication there. I think that also our police officer is our school resource officer, who is also a coach. I'm a coach. I think we're just, in a small community, you're just intertwined with different opportunities to work together. So when Wally had, again, this idea, and he came with it, it was, why wouldn't we do this? And why wouldn't we get behind him and support this? And again, it's done major things for Gilman. It really has.
I think also there's no big egos. You know, everybody is equal, and looking at, it goes back to those goals. You know, we know that we need one another to survive, and in order for it to be vibrant and exciting to come to school in Gilman, is that it needs to be exciting and vibrant when you come into Gilman. And so understanding that we're in it together and saying that it's okay if somebody else takes the lead, that just means it's one less thing I have to do sometimes, you know. But it really did take, you know, Candice and I and one other individual to be kind of like really the ones that are pushing it forward. So you got to have somebody that's always going to be focused on the true north and making sure that people are doing things, and then being patient when people have other responsibilities, and not, you know, just understanding. You know, we heard that at the very beginning of this conference, you know, is that, you know, you have to take care of your people. You have to understand that you don't know their entire story, so if they can't help today, it's okay. We know that they're, in spirit, they're helping, and when they get the opportunity, they're going to.
Miia, as an art teacher, what role has arts and culture played in this process?
I think it allowed students, say, especially the elementary, to put their information out there on paper with drawings versus being able to actually write those things down.
Yeah.
I think that it's also the vibrant downtown, and then also seeing what actually the drawings and the plans that came out of the design event, giving us hope and kind of letting us see what it could be. Because I would say I graduated from Gilman. My husband and I chose to raise our 3 kids in Gilman. Candice, the same. Wally's the same. You want our community to continue, and you want it to be beautiful. And I think that it's given that vision back into what it could be versus watching it wither away, like Addy said, when you drive through the towns on the way home. So I think that's what it's done.
Yeah. And I think we have time for just a few more questions. So I'd love to hear one more final thought from whoever is interested. What does this Gilman's journey teach us about investing in people, investing in communities, or what has it taught you just in general?
I think for me, I just go back to when I was younger, I was never going to live in Gilman.
Yeah.
Told my mom, I'm going away. Things changed. I moved back. Best thing. My kids got to grow up with my parents, my grandparents. Gets me a little emotional, sorry. When I went to work at the village, my grandparents were living there. And my thought was, what can I do to keep the taxes down? They can be affordable. You know, they were 99 and 100 years old and stuff. And so I really wanted to be passionate, give back, volunteer, get involved. Like I said, I was on PTO, different stuff. So I think this passion for the kids, you want them to do the same things. So I think for me, this whole process was really good. And really good for our school, our community. And I really think that there's been so many good things. Like I said, the apartments, the small business stuff, the trail. And I do think like we have ideas that we want to go forward with. So I hope we keep going to the next step. And I hope people keep being rejuvenated to keep it moving Gilman forward.
Very nice.
I think that, you know, we started developing, you know, because my primary responsibility is a school district. And so as a school district, we were really looking at how do we maintain a positive climate and culture. And so we focus on the results that we want and address the challenges that they come up. And we felt like that's what we needed to bring to our community. Like if we're really in it, then we need to make sure that it's not just that if you're an employee at the school district that you believe anything is possible. We need to take that into our community and make sure that our community believes that anything is possible. And so focusing on that, and that's why I said it was super important for us to have the economic analysis, and it was important for us to bring in experts to talk about, you know, what are capacities, what are opportunities, what are roadblocks that you want to avoid, so that when we're thinking about things being possible, we're going in the right direction, because that can be just as stifling as if you never even brought it up in the first place. So it always has to be something that you work on. Climate culture, ensure that people believe anything's possible, focusing on the results that you want every single day.
Yeah, I love that. All right. Any parting thoughts? All right. Thank you so much for being here. I think that from my point of view, Gilman shows us that unlocking Wisconsin's rural future isn't really about any one project in particular. It's a combination of the efforts of collaboration, trust, and giving every voice a seat at the table. Thank you for being here today to share your story. And for the group, the presentation that was scrolling through is also going to be available in the app should you want to dive in and read a little bit more about the Design Gilman story. So thank you all.